At this time, Lisa Young will take a roll call to see if a quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please respond. Danae Pressler. Robert Vondenacker.
Present.
Thank you. John Sherrill.
Present.
Thank you. Derek Castaneda. Ron Gritman.
Here.
Thank you. Hondo Judd. Lisa Anderson.
Present.
Thank you. Chris Bridges.
Here.
Thank you. Byron Easton. Deb Ferraro.
Present.
Thank you. Rhonda Humbles. Nancy Allen. Scott DeBias. Tim Connor.
Present.
Thank you. Jonathan Fudge.
Present.
Thank you. John Woods. Walter Bouchard. Amanda McGinnis. Mike Sonnenberg.
Present.
Thank you.
Forgive me, this is John Woods. I was not able to respond.
Thank you, John. Beverly Chanowski.
Present.
Thank you. Michelle Wilson. Michael Denby. Steve Trussell. J.C. Porter.
Present.
Thank you. Dave Barry. Ed Stillings.
Present.
Thank you. Spencer Camps. Kim Butler.
Present.
Thank you. Aaron Cooper. Stan Ballone.
Present.
Thank you. Kristen Watt.
Present.
Thank you. Michelle Kamikawa. Michael Chamberlain. Robert Forrest.
Present.
Thank you. Susie Stevens. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And I'm Ramona Simpson, and I'm the vice chair, sitting in for Megan. Quorum is now present. The meeting of the MAG Air Quality Technical Advisory Committee is now called to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda or on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please fill out a white request to speak card located on the information table in the hallway and give it to MAG staff. If you parked in the garage, parking validators are available on the information table in the hallway. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. Our next item is call to the audience. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience agenda item unless the committee requests an exception to this limit. I have received no request to speak cards for this agenda item. MAG also, has any MAG staff received any online?
Madam Vice Chair, as of today, no written comments have been received.
Okay. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website, 1 hour prior to the meeting. And I already asked if you had any. So now we'll move on to our agenda item number 3. Our next item on the agenda is the approval of the September 22nd, 2022 meeting minutes. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I wanted to make a correction. This is Deb Ferraro with the City of Mesa. I wanted to request a correction to the minutes. Item number 5 for drought mitigation. In the 3rd paragraph, it says Ms. Ferraro stated that stage 2 of the City of Mesa shortage management includes a restriction. I had stated that it's stage 3 of the City of Mesa's water shortage management plan that includes a restriction on using potable water between the hours of 2 and 5.
Thank you. We'll note that. Is there any other discussion on any other corrections that need to be made from the members? Prior to approval, do we have any members of the public who wish to comment on an agenda item? Number 3. I haven't received any requests to speak cards for this agenda. Staff, do you have any written comments for this item?
Madam Vice Chair, as of today, no written comments have been received.
Is there a motion to approve the September 22nd, 2022 meeting minutes with the correction from City of Mesa?
I so move that we accept the minutes for the September 22nd meeting with the noted correction.
Thank you. And can you state your name for those that are on?
Lisa Anderson.
Thank you. And
Danae
we-
Pressler, I'll second that.
Great, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Can I have a voice vote for those in the room? Those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. This is just in the room. Those who wish to abstain, say abstain. Okay, so roll call of all the members participating virtually will now be taken at this time by Lisa Young.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please state your vote. Danae Pressler.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Vondenacker.
Aye.
Thank you. John Sherrill.
Aye.
Thank you. Derek Castaneda. Ron Gritman.
Aye.
Thank you. Hondo Judd. Chris Bridges.
Aye.
Thank you. Byron Easton.
Aye.
Thank you. Deb Ferraro.
Aye.
Thank you. Rhonda Humbles. Nancy Allen. Scott DeBias.
Aye.
Thank you. Tim Connor.
Aye.
Thank you. Jonathan Fudge.
Aye.
Thank you. John Woods.
Aye.
Thank you. Walter Bouchard. Amanda McGinnis. Mike Sonnenberg.
Aye.
Thank you. Beverly Chanowski.
Aye.
Thank you. Michelle Wilson. Mike Denby. Steve Trussell. J.C. Porter.
Aye.
Thank you. Dave Barry. Spencer Camps. Kim Butler.
Aye.
Thank you. Aaron Cooper. Stan Ballone.
Aye.
Thank you. Kristen Watt.
Aye.
Thank you. Michelle Kamikawa. Michael Chamberlain. Robert Forrest.
Aye.
Thank you. Susie Stevens. Madam Chair, we have a unanimous vote.
Thank you. So the motion passes. So now we'll move on to item number 4, evaluation of proposed PM10 certified street sweeper projects for FY 2023 CMAQ funding. Dean Giles, Maricopa Association of Governments, will be providing the presentation. This action is for information, discussion, and recommendation of a prioritized list of proposed PM10 certified street sweeper projects for FY 2023 CMAQ funding to the Management Committee and to retain the prioritized list for any additional FY 2023 CMAQ funds that may become available due to closeout or additional funding received by this region. Dean?
Pardon me. I'm sorry, I'll start over. On August 1st, 2022, MAG issued a call for PM10 certified street sweeper projects for fiscal year 2023 congestion mitigation and air quality improvement program funding. Applications were due on September 16th, 2022. 10 applications were evaluated, requesting a little over $3.2 million in CMAQ funding. And in the current fiscal year 2022 to 2025 MAG Transportation Improvement Program, a little over $1.3 million is currently available to program for fiscal year 2023. After the project applications were submitted, the first stop with the review process was at the MAG Street Committee meeting on October 11th, 2022 to review the sweeper applications. And no questions were received from members of the street committee on the applications. MAG staff has conducted an evaluation of the proposed street sweeper projects using the data that was provided in the project applications. And MAG staff has applied the MAG CMAQ methodologies from February 2021 to estimate the PM10 emission reductions in kilograms per day and calculate the cost effectiveness. The results of the evaluation are provided in the table attached or included in the agenda packet. And as you can see, the table provides a description of each project, the federal funds requested, the emission reductions in kilograms per day and the cost effectiveness, and the description of the geographic area where the sweeper will be used. After today's meeting, next slide, please. After today's meeting, it is anticipated that the MAG Management Committee may consider the prioritized list of proposed street sweepers at their meeting on November 9th, 2022, followed by the MAG Regional Council at their meeting on November 30th. Next slide, please. And here is the requested action for the committee today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean. Is there any discussion on the prioritized list or the process to move it to the Ag Management Committee from the members? Prior to a motion, do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this agenda? I haven't received any requests to speak cards on this agenda. Staff, do you have any written comments?
Madam Vice Chair, we did not receive any comments.
Is there a motion to recommend a prioritized list of proposed PM10 certified street sweeper projects for FY 2023 CMAQ funding to the MAG Management Committee and to retain the prioritized list for any additional FY 2023 CMAQ funds that may become available due to closeout or additional funding received by this region?
So moved, Tim Connor.
Thank you, Tim. Do I have a second?
Second, Scott Tobias.
Thank you, Scott. So can I have a voice vote of those in the room?
Lisa Anderson, aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? I think we only have the one. So, and those who wish to abstain, vote from the vote, say abstain. A roll call vote of all members participating virtually will now be taken by Lisa.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please state your vote. Danae Pressler,
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Vandenacker.
Aye.
Thank you. John Sherrill.
Aye.
Thank you. Derek Castaneda.
Aye.
Thank you. Ron Gritman.
Aye.
Thank you. Hondo Judd. Chris Bridges.
Aye.
Thank you. Byron Easton.
Aye.
Thank you. Deb Ferraro.
Aye.
Thank you. Rhonda Humbles. Scott Tobias.
Aye.
Thank you. Tim Connor.
Aye.
Thank you. Jonathan Fudge.
Abstain.
Thank you. John Woods.
Aye.
Thank you. Walter Bouchard. Mike Sonnenberg.
Aye.
Thank you. Beverly Chanowski.
Aye.
Thank you. Michelle Wilson. J.C. Porter.
Aye.
Thank you. Spencer Cantz. Kim Butler.
Aye.
Thank you. Aaron Cooper. Stan Ballone.
Aye.
Thank you. Kristen Watt.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Forrest.
Aye.
Thank you. Susie Stevens. One moment, please. Madam Chair, we have 20 ayes and 1 abstention.
Thank you. The motion passes. We'll now move on to item number 5.
Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Lisa, this is Amanda. I'm on. And I say aye to the minutes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes.
Ms. McGinnis said aye to the minutes.
The minutes. Did you also want to make a motion for the CMAQ funding, Amanda?
Oh, I apologize on that. I thought we were into the minutes. I came in late. So I'm an aye on the CMAQ as well, funds. Is that what we're in? Is that what we're talking about? What we just voted for?
Yes, we just completed
Okay,
that.
I apologize. I got mixed up.
That's okay. Thank you, Amanda.
Madam Vice Chair, we have 21 ayes and 1 abstention.
Thank you. Motion still passes. Thank you, Amanda. We're on to item number 5, Valley Metro 2022 Transportation Demand Management Survey results. And Suzanne Nordman from Valley Metro and Catherine DeBoer, West Group Research, will provide a presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Nordman. Abby Cooksey Williams sends her regards. I'm one of the program coordinators on Abby's Commute Solutions team, and we support Valley employers and transportation coordinators in the implementation of their travel reduction programs. Every year, as part of our grant agreement with our partners, we contract with West Group to conduct an annual survey. It measures commute mode shifts and also examines residents' opinions on several things, including alternative modes and schedules, our air quality, and traffic. And we use this information to determine marketing strategies and also to measure awareness and effectiveness of our programs and services. So we really appreciate the opportunity to share the survey data today. And without further ado, I'm happy to turn it over to Kathy DeBoer to share some of the high points of our overall results.
Great. Thank you, Susan. And thank you, Madam Chair, for welcoming me to and inviting me to present the results of the survey. We've had the privilege of conducting the survey almost continuously since 1990. If we can move on to the first slide. The number of completed interviews that we conduct each year is approximately 400. This year was 433, which gives you a margin of error of plus or minus 4.7%. We break the sample up in between 100 non-employed and 330, or this year 331 employed, because the emphasis of the study is on employed commute habits, but it's important for us to have representation from non-employed residents to monitor their trip behavior as well as their perceptions of traffic congestion and air quality. We split the sample equally between males and females. We used a combination of telephone and online surveys, and it was conducted between April 7 and May 17 of this year. And when applicable, we will compare those results to the historical data. Next slide. We always begin the survey just asking folks to talk about what is the most important or major issue facing the Valley. And every year, this provides a look at history when we go back to the long-term implications over the last 20 years. But it also just gives us insights and verification that our respondents are tracking with what is going on. And you can see that the comments, at least this year, regarding politics and COVID dropped dramatically, where we had more concern about water conversation. The study was conducted just as gas prices were starting to rise. So that 9% again is up from just 1% last year. So it is a good reflection of what is on people's minds at the time of year. Next slide, please. In general, though, we are also looking to see where air quality and transportation and growth kind of fall in that mix. And you can see that this year the net mentions was at 22%. It not surprisingly dropped off dramatically in 2020, along with pretty much everything else. And it is slowly coming back as a major issue compared to its previous years. And it's really evenly split between the growth management, traffic congestion, and a little bit decreased this year yet, staying down on transit. Those opinions are still beginning to rebound after the interruption in service due to COVID. Next slide, please. We look at traffic congestion from two perspectives. We ask folks to say, what do you think, or how would you rate the Valley traffic congestion as a whole? And you can see that really has varied little with time. It's usually right around 90% that people regard it as a moderate or big problem. And the personal, then we ask them, how are they personally impacted by traffic congestion? And that too sits around the 50%. So folks in general find that the traffic is much busier. That doesn't involve them, whereas theirs is more of a moderate problem. We also ask about they perceive the air quality as big or moderate problem, and that has held consistent just above 80%. Next slide. Looking at the ad awareness and perceptions for Valley Metro, recall really dipped a number of years ago. Funding declined for the campaigns, and it really hasn't rebounded much. It's staying in that about 24-25%. The higher number in 2020, just because there was so much talk about the implications of COVID on transit and just the campaign work by Valley Metro to talk to folks about the safety of riding it during the pandemic. So those items are reflected. The favorability toward the ads is always been high, right around the 75 to 80% range, which means that people do think that it's important to advertise and encourage alternate mode usage instead of driving alone. We specifically call out the online survey that encourages drivers to visit sharethερide.com. And since 2018, that number has continuously increased. And so that online presence is growing for Valley Metro. Next slide. We look at the mode of travel, and this is again just about commuters and employed commuters and students. We look at it two ways. One is a mode of travel as a percentage of people, and that is what's shown here. So, and obviously people can do multiple modes. So it doesn't, people can ride a bike, and they can carpool some days or drive alone and stay at home. But overall, the total SOV usage increased this year to 64%, but you can see compared to 2020, we had declined to 54%. So we are rebounding, and the same is true for total alternate mode uses. We saw an all-time high In 2020, slightly less than 21. And this year we're at 26 at 60%. But I believe the next slide will show you that the percentages are still at all-time highs. But the bulk of that is driven by telework. We're up 50% of the employed workers in 2020 and 21 were telecommuting, and that has dropped to 36%. Carpooling increased this year after dropping to all-time lows of 5%. That is rebounding. Slightly fewer people walking, but the story continues to be telework, and the sentiment out there is that we are beginning to level out, and we probably won't be as high as we were 2 years ago or last year even, but we aren't going to drop as low as we were historically, that we are starting to set at a new level of normal. Next slide. This is the shift that I was telling you about. Since going back to 1993, you can see that routinely the always drive alone, the darker gray, is usually in the 60s, low 60s percentile, and it dropped very far down into the 30s and 40s the last few years. The some alternate mode usage, that honestly did not vary a whole lot, even through COVID. It shrunk a little bit and gave way to those converting over to always use an alternate mode. And so you can see that in 2020, we had 47% who were solely using an alternate mode for the most part that was telecommuting. So it's been very interesting to watch this shift. The other shift that, if you notice, in 2008, that's when the economy really tanked and we had higher gas prices again. And so we had a notable impact again, where the outside influences of the world are impacting people's commute mode. Next slide. The other way to look at that is a percentage of trips. So everybody's travel or lack of travel using non-commute modes or saving trips due to telecommuting or compressed schedules, then are totaled up, and so up to a 100%. So looking at the percent of trips, again, alternate mode trips declined this year, and total SOV trips increased this year. Again, just showing a more return to normalcy. Again, the mentions of carpool increasing, walking decreasing, telework decreasing. We saw a slight decrease in compressed schedule. But again, just all of this is kind of level setting back to what we think is a new norm between the trips being saved by telecommuting versus the increased use of some of the alternate modes that were slipped in the past 2 years. Next slide. We also look at it of large companies, meaning those who have 50 or more employees that are required to respond to the trip reduction program versus small employers. And historically, we always see a higher level of alternate mode usage among larger employers and smaller, just because part of it is the nature of the business. And also just having a fewer number of employees who are able to take advantage of other alternate modes available to them, or even telecommuting because of the nature of the businesses. But these, both a large and small, followed the impact of 2020 with the increase in alternate mode usage. And then now, as you can see, we're going down, but we are still at 65% among large organizations recording some alternate mode usage, and that's up almost 20 points from the historical. So we will continue to watch and see where that ends up. And the same thing for small companies. We're still a good 15 points ahead of where we typically are. Next slide. Again, the reasons why people are using alternate modes, convenience is still driving the factor. Not surprisingly, in 2020, it was COVID, and that has truly declined. But there you can see the increase in gas, save money, wear and tear. So this is, again, showing us that when the gas prices start to creep up, and with the economy being as tight as it is, residents are turning to alternate mode usage as a way to help themselves make it through the higher prices of gas and the overall economy. Next slide. Awareness of Valley Metro online carpool matching. We have That number really has not changed over time. It stays consistently in the 20 to 25%. We did see a decrease in folks that would be willing to consider online matching in 2020. Again, not surprising. We weren't telling people to spend less time together. So carpooling or riding and sharing a ride is just not something they were looking at. But you can see that in the last 2 years now, we're starting to head back more towards that 60%. We're not there yet. But again, people are becoming more open to using an online matching system for carpooling and ride sharing. Next slide. For employer involvement, just walking through these 3 questions, as we expect to see large versus small, they're more likely to say they have a TC at their work site, and that their employer provides alternate mode resources or encourage alternate mode usages. But what is important to note that, again, the knowledge that they have a TC or that employers are providing alternate mode resource or even encouraging alternate mode usage is still down. And, a lot of that, again, can be tied back to the shift that happened with the pandemic. There are fewer employees on site, so they're not necessarily maybe being exposed to bulletin boards or running into people in the break rooms and talking about possibilities of sharing rides. The whole interaction between employees at companies is different, and their awareness of what services relying on alternate mode is shifting. Most people, if they're working from home, the employers don't need to tell them to do alternate modes. And so there just isn't as much activity happening either because of the nature of the shift that has happened to the pandemic. So we're just going to keep watching those numbers. And I know that Valley Metro is looking into ways that they can continue to increase awareness of the transportation coordinators and how to continue to stress the importance of alternate mode usage. Next slide. Incentives, again, are the number one thing that we have seen forever. People like that if they're going to include alternate mode usage. Fewer people are asking about a subsidized transit pass. Again, they're with the pandemic still having some inroads. There's still some reluctance to move back into transit. Next slide. So there was a slight decline in carpool information or matching this year, and down on the others. But again, I think this is again just kind of reflecting that we're kind of going up and down, and people are trying different things out or being cautious on what they are looking for from their work provider. Next slide. Then we ask a series of questions and ask people to rate each of these different types of messaging or things that might motivate them to encourage an alternate mode usage. And this list has shaved up and down over time. We've added and subtracted. And really looking back at the historical, we didn't see a whole lot of differentiation between the messages. They averaged kind of between 45 and 55%, maybe 60% thought any one of these messages were important and might motivate them. But this year, we did see kind of a top 3 pop out: saving money, reducing air pollution, and improving the environment. So with the economy the way it is, then that saving money using an alternate mode is a message that is resonating with them and something that may encourage them to consider it. And then the increased sensitivity about air pollution and helping the environment. Folks are paying more attention to that than they have in the past. And there's just less emphasis on saving time, reducing stress, reducing carbon footprint, using public transit. Again, all of those can be impacted by job shifts that have moved people home more often. So they're not as concerned about those items, but the economy and the environment are still resonating with them. Next slide. So as I reminded throughout the presentation, pandemic continues to influence commute behavior. The returning to work is happening, and companies are trying to find that balance and what to do to keep employees and attract employees. But it does seem that the work from home practice is the new normal for many employers, employees, and we'll be very interested to continue to track that. And I know it's been great for Valley Metro to have continued the study through the pandemic, just to have these data points. And we've never stopped this study, regardless of what was going on in the world. It has provided a very interesting commentary and insights into what may move the alternate mode pendulum back and forth. And this year, increasing inflation and gas prices were the ones that were most motivating employees to look for ways to save money. But as I mentioned, public transit usage still isn't quite registering. But we have found that historically when gas prices go up, the public transit also increases. So that we may see that shift as we move forward. Next slide. Traffic congestion and air quality and air pollution are still big problems for the Valley. People are aware of the high pollution advisories. And when we looked at those motivating messages, protecting air quality and the environment continue to be two messages that will resonate and encourage people to consider alternate mode usage. And I had also mentioned about their use of transportation coordinators. And again, with fewer employees in buildings and companies experiencing higher level of alternate mode usage, particularly those who are reporting for the TRP, they're in many likelihoods hitting their goals without having to do as much effort to achieve that goal. But obviously it is important to help them understand that these goals can be pushed out, and now we just have a new normal, and let's work for getting more people that are reporting to the office to still use those alternate modes and help with the congestion and the environment as well. I think that's end. Yeah. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Madam Vice Chair, I have a question if I may.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hey, Kathy, great information. Thanks for doing the survey and providing the summary. So I'm the transit coordinator at my workplace, and one of the changes that I've been seeing is more people choosing to drive electric vehicles, and we consider that an alternative mode. I'm wondering if that's something that's come up. Do you think you'll be factoring that into future surveys?
Oh, this is Susan. I wonder if Kathy has frozen. It might be a website issue. If I might answer, it depends, because not all employers include electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles in their programs. So we are hesitant to include that in the mix just because it is not included by all employers in their travel reduction programs.
Thanks, Susan.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I'll go ahead and field them. All right, it doesn't sound like we have any more. Of course, our manager, Abigail Cooksey Williams, her information is on the screen. So if you think of any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to her.
Thank you, Susan and Catherine. We really appreciate your time and effort and a lot of information. I just had one question or comment really from staff, is that these presentations are going to be available or already are on the MAG website. So if you want to go back and reference any of this information, take it back to your community. It'll be available there as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll go on to item number 6, best management practices for dust control alternatives during drought conditions. And Deborah Ferraro from City of Mesa will provide information on these best management practices. We have Deborah.
Hi.
There you go.
And I had a few slides. Perfect. Rather than talk about actual best management practices, I wanted to talk about our water shortage management plan, specifically stage 3, as this is what was brought up at last month's meeting. Well, right now, as you all probably know, we are in stage 1, which is a water watch. And then it's likely that in January, we will elevate to stage 2, which is water alert. So it's unknown when and if we'll hit stage 3. But if and when we do, I just want to emphasize that Mesa's water shortage management plan is subject to change per city council. But as it's written right now, our stage 3, which would be our water warning measures, which would be a goal of a reduction of 15% of water use. So our stage 3 mandatory measures, one of them lists use of potable water for construction or other dust control restrictions between the hours of 2 and 5 p.m. So this is what was brought up last month. And I just wanted to specify once again that it's the use of potable water for construction that we would restrict between the hours of 2 to 5. Next slide, please. This is an article that I believe is what Amanda McGinnis from AGC was referencing last month. Amanda's not the first one who brought this to my attention. This article, I know the letters are pretty small. I just wanted to include it in the slide so that if anybody wanted to, they could zoom in on it. Not only does the article mention Mesa, it does also mention some of the other municipalities. My point with this article, though, is that sometimes things are not portrayed correctly. So everyone has a story, and if you don't tell that story, someone else may get it wrong. And that's what happened here in this article. Next slide, please. The article references that workers cannot use water at construction sites to control dust between 2 and 5 p.m. when it should read, the use of potable water is restricted between the hours of 2 to 5 p.m. So in light of the fact that this article has been a topic of conversation, not only with AGC as a concern for contractors, but it was also one of the regulators who reached out, Maricopa County Air Quality, was concerned with this article, as they should be, because it is misprinted. We have no intent to stop people from controlling dust at construction projects. We're just looking to conserve potable water during these times. So in an effort to reduce further confusion, I think a guidance document would be a good tool moving forward. And the guidance document would clarify city requirements and then also provide consistent guidance, both for contractors and regulators, so that we're able to tell our own story. We're able to reduce any confusion. And in this guidance document, I foresee clarification of what the restrictions are specifically, and then also guidance on some other options. So maybe other water sources that could be used during 2 and 5 to control dust. And then possibly also other options like chemical suppressants or things that would not impact stormwater quality would also perhaps go into this guidance document. So I wanted to see if there were other municipalities who had restrictions and may be interested in doing some sort of a joint guidance document. Once again, just to clarify what the municipalities are restricting, and then also to provide guidance for contractors as well as regulators. So everyone is on the same page and it's very clear what can and cannot be done in regards to our water conservation efforts and our dust control efforts. So I don't have any more presentation, but I was hoping to just open this discussion up and see if other municipalities might be interested.
Madam Chair, this is Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. Did you have a question?
I wanted to speak to Deb on this issue in front of the committee. Deb, I appreciate you clarifying that, but sometimes even misprints have, again, additional impacts. So I have found out that even if it's the use of restricting the use of potable water, finding non-potable water or anything else to use on those sites is not that easy. And it's not going to be something that you can just run down the street and get to be able to put on a project side should the need arise for us to do that. So I think when you're doing your guidance or trying to add more clarity, you need to look at it from our perspective as well on what kind of issues you may be creating downstream, which is why I asked you originally and asked the MAG committee to talk about this, because there are things that can be created downstream that are problematic, which again may create a problem for our SIP. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that, Amanda. And I do acknowledge that how I had started out was by stating that this is still in draft since we're not in stage 3 right now. That is subject to change. That whole first slide with the measures for stage 3 that MESA has drafted as a document is subject to change. We have no intent to stop development within the city of Mesa. We're just trying to do it in such a way that we can meet our efforts for water conservation while still controlling dust and continue to move forward. So perhaps I can get with you one-on-one. I know that we connected, we both have our information now. So as we move forward with this, perhaps I can reach out to you for some input as well. Would that work, Amanda?
Yes, absolutely. I'd be happy to, and I'd be happy if you have a group to either get someone assigned to that to help work through some of the challenges where we can both find a reasonable solution for this.
Excellent.
Thank you, Amanda and Deborah. Are there any other members that have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding this topic? And if they want to share anything from their communities of challenges that they faced and how they might have addressed that, or how they're looking into the future. Anything that anyone would want to share?
Yes, this is Tim Connor, City of Scottsdale. I'm just curious about the hours that you're asking them to not use any of the water at a construction site. Between 2 and 5 p.m., it seems that would be the time they would put a final crust on the site when they were leaving. Why did you choose between 2 and 5 p.m.? Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, between 2 and 5 p.m. just for evaporative loss. So that was the intent, to prevent the evaporative loss. And it's the hot time of the day, but a lot of construction sites will be closing down during that time. You're right. So as I initially stated, perhaps we will take a look at this with City Council's approval, as this is sort of a living document as we move forward and move forward not only in time, but also move forward in the stages of our current drought status.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Hi, this is Kim Butler from Maricopa County Air Quality.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, I just wanted to reach out and say also, as Deb, as you are reaching out and meeting with Amanda and Tim and others, we'd like to also be included because obviously the maintenance of the SIP really falls a lot to us. So if you could please reach out and we can make sure that we get representation and talk. So if there's things that we need to be doing on our side as well, that, and we're interested in ideas and things that are coming out as far as water conservation. I mean, yes, we are very much interested in air quality, but we do recognize that there is definitely overlap between different environmental concerns.
Yes, thank you, Kim.
And do you have my contact information or? You can find it.
I can definitely find it. I will find you.
I am the planning and analysis manager, just for reference. there.
Okay, excellent. And it was Frank over at Maricopa County Air Quality who initially saw this article and reached out. So I did let him know that we will stay in close communication with him as well, because I know the inspectors are going to have to understand what exactly the restrictions are and aren't.
Absolutely. Yeah, Frank's a great contact, and he can get you in contact with me as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kim.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. And this is a very timely information piece, and something that we'll all have to try to work through. I know air quality and water go hand in hand. So a lot of times we have to try to find innovative ways to coexist together. And we definitely don't want to stop our construction and growth in different communities as well. So any other further questions or discussion? And I think that, Deborah, if there's those cities that want to reach out to you that would be interested in possibly kind of doing a subcommittee and addressing some of these concerns, I think that we can get that information if you need to reach out to MAG staff, and we can make sure that people are connecting so that we can work on this and maybe even at some point come together with a drought mitigation alternative guideline coming from the committee. I know we're all in different activities and areas of water usage, so it might not be across the board, but maybe there's some guidance that we can come up with that could be used by different communities as they move forward in drought conditions.
Excellent. Thank you.
The group here. Thank you very much. We appreciate very informative information so far. So with that, we're on to item number 7, requests for future agenda items. And are there any requests by membership for an item for a future agenda? And staff, do you have any written comments for this item?
Madam Vice Chair, we did not receive any written comments.
From the members, do you have any items that you would like to recommend at this point? Okay, with that, you can always submit your items of information to MAG staff, and they will we'll put that on a future agendized. I think, do I have the next? Sorry, the next date of the committee is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, December 8th. And so again, if you have an item that you'd like to be put on, you can reach out to MAG staff. And our business is now concluded. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So Lisa Anderson, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. And a second?
Rhonda Humbles, so moved.
Thank you. And I don't think we need to do a roll call. So we will just adjourn the meeting, and thank you all for your time and for those that gave presentations. Appreciate it.
Thank you.